So there was a patch this week that was supposed to fix the loop blitz. Did it work? Let's get into it. What is up, guys? Sam from the Sam Madden YouTube channel. So on February the 7th, there was a title update which took a swing at the loop blitz meta, which I'm sure makes a lot of you guys very, very happy, myself included.
It's gone. He's gone. I miss him so much. Oh, I cry myself to sleep, Jim.
False. I do not miss him.
So when you take a look at it, it says there were modifications made to quarterback contain logic to mitigate the pass rush exploit known as the loop blitz. Basically saying that if there was a pass rusher aligned outside of the contained defender, the contained defender would rush the C gap, which would avoid putting multiple rushers into the same gap and kind of alleviate that issue with the defensive end being unblocked free into the backfield. There was also an additional developer note that said that these changes are meant to bring balance to the loop blitz and that they will basically be keeping an eye on this in the Twitch space, the YouTube space, competitive Madden, and make any other adjustments as necessary moving into the spring months. So at face value, this looks like it could be a pretty impactful change to the game. So let's go ahead and get into it. We'll talk about what this blitz was for those of you that maybe don't know, and we'll put a little bit of a live test here on the field to make sure that it actually did take. So the main blitz that you typically will face or were facing before with the loop blitz was linebacker blitz 0 out of the nickel 3-3. And with this particular blitz, they would spread the defensive line, spread the linebackers, crash down, QB contain, and then they would kind of mug this center gap. But what they would do is they would specifically move the players down to the high outside hip of either defensive end, and it would change them into a contain. But you're going to see here that when you are stacked at this particular spot, it actually won't change them into the contain until you walk further down, and then it will. So we'll get into that momentarily, but let's test what the old loop blitz looks like as it pertains this particular blitz meta. So when we snap this ball, you see that it does target. It does tend to run around more like kind of like a dollar. It's really going to give you a big pocket to step up into. It's really not that impactful. If I were to stack these guys in the same position that players were putting them previously, you would see again that this is pretty easy to block, and you could find open receivers against the man-to-man coverage that's behind it. We've been facing man-to-man all year. You guys can beat it at this point. However, you did see that if you move them down a little bit closer to line of scrimmage, it does put them in contains, which kind of creates the conversation of whether or not this is a different blitz. Did they actually patch it? And I'm going to tell you right now, this is basically 3-3-5 wide. This is really no different than the Mike Blitz 0 meta. This is really no different than the Mike Blitz 3 meta over the last couple years. You guys have faced 3-3-5 wide, which is now known as 3-3 Cub, a fair amount. But with this particular blitz, I will tell you that if they set it up like this, it does have the potential for it to come in similar to the old loop blitz. And you see that the defensive end comes in and the linebacker comes in through the B gap. So this particular blitz, the day of the patch, was enough to have a lot of Twitter overreacting saying, oh no, they didn't fix it. It still works. But I'm also in the camp that kind of believes that, you know, there should be pressures in the game, albeit this one is extremely, extremely unrealistic. It's also a legacy issue that revolves around how bad contains are programmed in this game. They've been atrocious for many, many years now. But at least with this one, it's much easier to block than the old loop blitz. So if you guys remember the old loop blitz, you couldn't even block a running back against it. They would step up to the middle and really not do their job. With this particular loop blitz meta, if you simply just block the running back, it will do a good job. So you're gonna see here, we snap this ball, it blocks it just fine. And then from there, all you really have to do is set up a route combo, which I didn't do here on this play. But the immediate pressure of a free running defensive end is completely nullified just by blocking a running back. It's actually relatively easy. You see right here that really all that occurred was the player that is on the left disengaged. This is way different than a guy being a free runner. Block sheds can still occur, so make sure that you guys are putting your secure protectors and your, you know, your edge protectors and your blocking abilities in the correct spots, because again, sheds can still happen. Man blitzing is not going away, but in terms of this glitchy blitz that just comes in every time and IDing the mic and slide protecting and double teaming doesn't work, this is really not the same blitz, at least in my opinion. So for all intents and purposes, this particular 3-3 loop blitz was pretty well handled. So again, if I set this up, you got to move these guys an extra step or two, and which brings up the point that with this being a little bit longer to set up than previously, quick snap this. Block a running back and quick snap this while they're setting it up. It's so much harder to set this up than it was even a couple days ago. So again, you see just how easily we can actually beat the man-to-man coverage that is associated with this blitz, and players really don't have an opportunity for the pressure to work. I mean, look at this. This is not the same blitz that existed a week ago. Is it a little bit of a pain to deal with? Sure. But beating man-to-man is not hard either. We've got route abilities all over the field. Put them on corners, put them on slants, post routes. Really everything beats man-to-man now. So pretty easy. Now, the other rendition of the loop blitz exists out of a couple plays in the $3-2 defense. The first of which is your standard DB fire meta with the defensive backs slid inside. So with this particular meta, again, you're kind of looking at a contain stack. You're just going to slide these guys in and they become the contains here on the edge. And again, you're going to find that with this particular blitz, if we snap the ball, it basically is blocked by default. It's not hard to block. Now, again, set up your route combos. I'm not really focusing on this here. You can actually just block 5 against this dollar, stack that contains, and you're going to be fine. In worst case scenario, if it is coming in off of one edge or the other, just block a running back. Again, you see right here, we can actually send 5 out against dollar. This is really, really easy to block. If you see somebody sliding the slot corners in, just snap the football. It's more than likely not going to come in. Now, the other version of this was the dollar setup with a blitzing linebacker where they would shift the linebackers over and then they would stack them here. Again, you cannot get a contain unless you're on the line of scrimmage. So they have to place them here. And you see right here that it's kind of backing him up. You place him here, right there, he's stuck. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, again, if they were to stack this guy and put him here, this is going to remind you a little bit more of the 3-3-5 version of this blitz. So if we go ahead and snap this ball, you see that it kind of collapsed a little bit, similar to the 3-3 that we were just breaking down. So if you see this version of this blitz, again, this is going to be with the linebackers basically shifted, and then, you know, you're going to move this guy down, put him in a contain. In this situation, if you're facing this particular blitz meta, again, you notice that this guy moves. This is a little bit tougher to set up. The guys kind of bounce around. It can be a real pain. But with this particular setup, if you're dealing with this, then what you're likely going to do is just block that running back. Again, you're noticing there's no ID the mic, double team, slide protect, IDing the far outside corner. There's none of that nonsense that you have to worry about. Just block a running back and watch the line do work and then hit your open reads. So really not a whole lot to worry about. Now, I have heard of the rumors of a potential setup for the old loop blitz flying around out there. I will keep an eye on that, and I will let you guys know accordingly if one pops up, because that's what we do here on the channel, is we talk about the metas, how they shift, how they go away, and how they come back with different setups, and most importantly, how to counter them. So if you guys like today's video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, drop them below. And if you guys want more, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg, for more in-depth tutorial content. Until tomorrow, this is Zan. Get in the lab, and good luck.